In the Straight Talk Studio, we talk about wellness and we talk about our health and we talk about, are you taking care of yourself and how are you taking care of yourself and all that stuff. And I hope you guys are doing well this afternoon. It is hump day. Yes, that's the middle of the weekend, sailing down through the weekend. Of course, we live in the tropics, so it's always weekends, isn't it? Yeah, right. Who said that? Right? People swear that you live in the tropics and you're just like partying and laying on the sand and enjoying all of the tropics. Please, we're working hard. For real, for real. So thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, for sure, for sure. If you have a question, 943-3700, or you can also WhatsApp me or text me at 939-2223. I will answer you today, okay? 939-2223. And, I just want to talk this afternoon because we're going to be talking about menopause. Ooh, can you imagine? Yes, that's what we're going to be talking about this afternoon because it is actually menopause. Menopause is recognized this month, and it was actual, I think, National Menopause Day on October 16th. I didn't know there was a day, but
We
there
just
is.
forgot. We just
Yeah.
forgot that it was there.
There you go. And that was the voice of Jennifer Weber from the, come on, where are you from?
I'm from the Cayman Islands Cancer Society. That I remember.
Oh, good stuff. As well as Lucille Bodden, who's a social worker with the Department of Children and Family Services, and my resident best friend. Hi there.
Everybody.
Hi there. Nobody's going to hear you, Lucille. You're going to have to get closer to that. Pull that closer. Do something. Okay, sorry to give you problems. Yes, yes, yes. That's better. Okay, thank you. All right, so I got my girls in here with me, and we're going to be talking about this topic, this dreaded topic. Oh my, like no one wants to talk about it. Listen, it was so funny because I used to watch The Apprentice. Remember years, many, many years ago, when Donald Trump was not most big in the world. I don't know why. Poor guy. But anyway, he was like, you're pretty cool. He wasn't even cool then, but he was an awesome, apprentice boss and stuff like that. And there was an actress on there, Vivica Fox. I don't know if you
Yes.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody said one of the younger women, I can't remember the young woman's name. She's actually older now too, because I saw her the other day. She's hitting 40 something. So that's cute, right? But she was, the show with Howie Mandel where they have the briefcases with the numbers in them.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that kind of? Okay. She was one of the models from that show. So she was on The Apprentice, and she made a joke about menopause, and it was so offensive. And Vivica Fox was so offended. She was like, "I would." She said, "Well, you said you were doing, you were in menopause." And she said, "I would never say that. I would." This was Vivica Fox said at the time, and this must be 10+ years ago. I would never say that. She said because my body, my image is my career. That's my livelihood. So I would never say anything that would bring negative attention to my craft. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I just kind of looked at her, from my living room and thinking, we're not that far in age. And I just felt so bad that she was in an industry, or she felt that she was in an industry that would look down on her for having a hot flash, which is what she was having. And so this younger woman was like, you're menopausal. And she was just like, don't you dare do that to me. And from then, like 10+ years ago, I just remember how it hit me and thinking, wow, that is something, because it's a natural form of life, right? A natural part of life. If you get there, you get there. Some people don't live to get there.
That's right.
Some people get there earlier than others because of different reasons. And so, because, I'm kind of in the midst of it, I thought, hey, why not bring some cool girls in here? Well, not cool. 'Cause we're hot.
Flashing hot.
But you know what I mean? Cool girls to talk about hot flash and all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So thank you all for coming in. And thank you for not feeling like the box, not wanting to admit it.
No, I have to say, when you said that just now, I thought, oh, that's really sad, and that's the reason why I didn't become a supermodel. I really didn't want to have to focus on. That's the only reason.
There you go. And you could have done it. How tall are you?
I'm tall. I got that. I'm
No.
5'10".
Exactly.
Yeah, I got the tall.
You could have done modeling, basketball, whatever.
Absolutely, but instead I chose charity work.
And to be in the Canada.
Actually, that's what's true.
In the tropics.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I didn't know that you worked for DCFS.
DCFS, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so We do stuff together, so that's awesome. Happy to know you.
We talked about everything when I introduced her earlier before we came on the show, except for that.
Yes, exactly. Oh, okay.
So now she's like, social worker. What can
Yeah.
I do to put her to work? Well, she works really hard.
Oh, I know she does because the social workers at DCFS we get a lot of a lot of patients. They would call them clients. We would call them patients.
Right.
From us,
Yeah.
because so many Caymanians, if they get diagnosed with cancer these days, they don't have insurance and they don't have any income, and so they end up needing additional help from all the services that are available.
Yeah.
So that means NAU, that means DCFS, that means the Cancer Society, and anybody else.
Yeah, and this is National Breast Cancer Month as well, so it's kind of, you know,
And elder person month as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on this month. I mean, it must be a lot of stuff going on for the other 11 months that they put
There's
all.
always something every day, something all the time.
Yeah, for sure. But today we are going to be talking about menopause. Now, ladies, what do you know from just come on, other than
What do you know what he's saying?
All right. So, like, the first thing I want to talk about is that, you know, there's some questions, right?
All right.
And I found them on the internet. I looked up kind of the menopause website thing, and it was just saying what the definition of menopause is, right? So the definition of menopause is no menstruation for a year, for a consistent year. So if it's 9 months and it comes, you're not menopause. You kind of like, it's tricking you. It's almost like I'm coming. Because that's kind of, I think, what happened to me a little bit. It was just like, for almost a couple of years, it was just like, is it happening? Is it not happening? And then I was like, I guess it's not, but it's for a whole year. And it basically is, you're pausing your menstruation. That's why it's called menopause. Yeah. So if that's going on with you, if you're listening, that's going on with you. That's what's happening. So you're getting ready to get into those twilight. They call it twilight years because I'm on Facebook at 3:00 in the morning, and there's these people I can't sleep. And I'm like, yeah. We're the twilight girls.
Yeah, and it's not because you aren't tired, and it's not like you don't want to be asleep,
right?
But somehow you're just all revved up and awake.
Exactly. So, at what age do most women reach menopause? So, on this website, it said between 40 and 58.
Yeah. Wow, quite a span. I'm 53.
Yeah.
I certainly am a member. I don't mind. So I'm 53. I'm a member of the club.
When were you born? When's birthday?
68, January 23rd, 1968.
Wow, okay. We're not saying
because I'm an Aquarius.
You just missed it. It's January. So we were sailing in the year before.
I see. Okay.
So how dare you?
She thought you were going to be older than her.
I see.
Well, you are.
Because I'm older than her.
Anyway, so no, I don't mind admitting my age, but no, menopause
when
came.
You look that good.
Well, thank you. The menopause came a little early for me because I ended up having to have surgery, a gynecological surgery, for an issue that I was having, and that went ahead and threw me right in. And I have to say, I didn't mind one bit at all because I already have my children. I was perfectly fine with that. It was one of those things where I had an ovary removed, and the doctor said could bring on menopause, might not, don't know. Sure enough, after the surgery, a little bit of action down there, and then it just kind of stopped. And I had several years where it was 11 months, and then oops, surprise, there goes another pair of underwear, and then another 11 months, nothing, and you think, okay, here we are. And then it's another pair of destroyed.
Stop it!
Things.
Stop that! Stop.
And so it does take a while. And so, it's funny. I remember talking to asking my mom about menopause for her, so I knew what to expect.
Well, that's what
back
they say.
in the day, so many women the doctors just gave them hysterectomy, so they didn't go in, so you don't know what to expect. So it's kind of uncharted territory. You know to expect it sometime, but between 40 and 58, that's a long time.
But the average age is 51. It's saying.
Okay.
So it's saying that there's that range, but what you just brought up, it's really good to point that out, that if you have, sometimes you have some type of procedure, it could knock you into menopause early. And so when the question for me was like, when would I experience it? When did your mom experience it? My mom did the same thing as you. So around maybe 38, she had I think it's hysterectomy, and she didn't have her ovaries removed, and right away she went into menopause.
Yep.
And so I had nothing to go on in a kind of normal situation.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was
My
exactly.
mom, hers was induced by cancer as well, cancer treatment at 48.
Oh,
So mine, I was diagnosed with cancer at 52, and my chemotherapy induced mine as well. But because the year I got diagnosed in 2018, they said I was pre-menopausal, and then I went, because there's 4 stages apparently of menopause: pre, peri, which I didn't know about peri,
Yeah.
menopause,
Right.
and post. So the perimenopausal was during a cancer treatment, which double whammy, and then it's menopause,
Right.
and now postmenopause because it's been over a year
Yeah.
since the last menses and stuff like that. So I'm guessing I'm officially in that postmenopausal.
you've joined the club. Congratulations. We're happy to have you.
With the hot flashes and all that
Yeah.
nonsense.
Well, you know what's so funny? It's so funny, Jennifer, what you were just saying also led me to think, to mention this. When I talked about, the actresses that were, talking about it and it just seemed negative, there you are saying, hey, it was a blessing for me. I had already had my children. You probably were married, right? In a stable relationship. And so you had already kind of spent those years, in that relationship as a young person together. And so now you're both kind of in the same place. It's so forgiving in that way. If you can understand what I'm saying, versus the stories of the actress where it's like, it's not forgiving. I have to be as young as this young woman here.
Right.
And so that's sad because the reality of it is, look, if you're 40, you're 40. If you're 50, you're 50. There's no way that you're going to be able to turn back the hands of time.
Right.
You can only feel as good, take care of yourself, try to look as good, try to be as good as you can be at any age, but you are the age you are.
Right.
But for you, the experience, I think, definitely just comes from two different places. So I think
Exactly.
it's really about, accepting that it is what it is. And so how do we experience it and not be ashamed of it? And how do we, just face it with dignity? Because I think that's really what it's about. Wherein men can be unforgiving because, men are looking for young women per se. So that's another thing that women might feel like, oh, well, I don't want anyone to know because I'm going to be seen as, well, you're going to be seen as, you're going to be seen as what you are.
Right.
So, yeah, so that was very interesting.
Yeah, I'm in a pretty, I don't know, traditional, I guess you would say, situation.
Right.
At this point, I've been married 31 years.
Right.
Our kids are 20 and 21.
Right.
Kids are away at school.
Right.
After 20 some years, we looked at each other and went, "Oh yeah, I remember you." But
Right.
yeah, older than that. Oh, so do you? Okay, here we are. Yeah, and so it's different than a lot of situations for
Right.
people, but
it's cool too, right?
yeah, it was perfectly fine for me. I mean, let's face it, we can go to the beach. We don't have to buy those expensive products in the grocery store anymore.
Right.
So there's some benefit from that, and no cramps, and all of those other things that were negative things. I never had that sense of loss, like, oh, I'm no longer fertile, and what if my husband, decides he wants to go off with a younger woman? My husband lives with the reality of knowing that I am so much more likely to kill him than divorce him. And that's just how he lives, right? It's all,
they're coming for you.
that's fine. So yeah. So
Yeah.
my situation is
I
pretty
apologize
difficult.
for Jennifer Weber right now. Everything that's being said is the star is not responsible for.
And then people are going, I know her husband. Seems nice. Why would she kill him?
Right.
Yes, that is nice.
In other words, I'm not leaving him.
Yeah,
You're not
yes,
leaving me.
exactly.
That's what you mean.
There's a full commitment. Menopause or not, there's a full commitment there. So.
Right, yeah. And then you have some women saying, oh, I wish he would go. So, you know what I mean? Like, and I love that. And I think Lucille is very much in a traditional situation as well, because you've been married for how long?
27 years.
Yeah, 27 years. So that's, all your young life, really. Wherein, somebody like myself, who, kind of has this consummately single mom story, it was a little bit more daunting for me because I wasn't kind of happy married at that time.
And you had to face it alone.
Trying to find love at this stage of your life. And I think when it started to happen to me, I just, that youthfulness, really, I
Aw.
felt it. And I didn't, and I was with my daughter,
Mhm.
who was 22 at the time, amazing, beautiful, gorgeous. I'm teenaging the whole way. I'm not trying to be 22, right? But I still felt it. And I was just like, at me, like I'm an old woman. And she was like, Mommy, you're amazing. So it was in New York that we had this conversation. It was very crazy. But I just think that we really do have to come to that acceptance of, embracing it and celebrating it, because it's a beautiful part of life. Is beautiful, period. And life is what you make it. And so not to let something that's an inevitable thing kind of bring you down. And I think that's why, this conversation to me was so important to have it, with Cool Girls.
Yeah, and I'm sure Lucille can attest to this too, that I mean, you had cancer, so you've been through a situation where you had to face your mortality and think about the what ifs. I see it every day in the patients that we serve at the Cancer Society. So I am certainly not going to cry and go, "Oh, poor me." Look at me, I'm continuing to go on to the next stage of life. I feel fortunate to be able to do that, because I know a lot of people who didn't get that opportunity.
I love that.
So, here we are. I mean, I stopped dyeing my hair. I'm gray. When my father saw it, he was like, "Am I getting old because my daughter has gray hair?" Like, you're 85. You are old, whether or not I have gray hair. But it's who we are, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about or ashamed about. We're fortunate. We're lucky to be here.
Well, see, this is why I wanted to choose you here.
Prior to having going through menopause and stuff, I couldn't wait. I just couldn't wait to. But now that I realize
to not have your monthly.
Yeah, to not. It's never anyway,
right.
But that's besides what.
Yeah.
It just not have to worry about anything like that.
Yeah.
In addition to safe family planning and everything.
Right.
You,
not getting pregnant again is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, like an oops moment.
Yeah, at 40 something years old, so I couldn't wait to not have to worry about buying the products anymore, not have to worry about if I get pregnant, because my kids are already big.
Yeah,
right. I don't want to start all over again. As much as I love kids, I don't want to start all over again.
Oh, I hear that message loud and clear. I talk to parents who are older parents, and I think, how do you do that? I could not do that at this age. I mean, I guess you do what you have to do when you have to do it. But to think about getting pregnant with an oops baby, during your menopause time, I can't imagine doing that again.
That was the biggest thing. I couldn't wait to do it. But now that I'm doing it, because it's part of, like I said, it was brought on by the chemotherapy, because I wasn't really quite there at 52. I was almost getting there, but it's now some of the side effects are still irritating. So now I'm wishing I said, well, maybe I shouldn't rush this.
Right.
Because the side effects are a little bit.
Like for instance,
the hot flashes.
Right.
Not being able to sleep through the night and waking up and playing on games because you have nothing else to do or watching TV.
Right.
Because you can't sleep.
Yeah.
And then when you finally fall asleep, the alarm goes off for you to get up, but now you're exhausted because you didn't get much sleep.
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever. And I used to remember watching with their meetings, and everybody's with their fans and going like this, and I'm like, I'm freezing. I moved out of New York because I hate the cold.
Right.
Now I just wish I had that cold sometimes, because the hot flashes are ridiculous. No one can relate.
People are still flashing there. I remember my mom. We went to New York. I think it was maybe around the millennium or something, like maybe 2000. We must have gone there. I can't even remember, but I just remember bringing in the millennium thing. And my son came back. She wanted to leave the hotel and take a walk. And he came back. He's like, I'm never going anywhere with her again. He's like, 1 minute she is burning up. She's pulling off her scarf and her hat. Oh my God, it's hot. It's hot. And the next minute, oh my God, it's cold. It's cold. It's cold. And he was just like, Grandma's freezing. I can't do this. Like, what is going on? And now I realize, like when I talk about it now, I realize that's what she was going through.
I didn't realize.
So even in a cold place, she was there like going on, burning up. So
now I can relate to what these ladies were doing when they were fanning themselves, and I'm over there shivering. Thinking, why are they so cold?
And I just thought they were cool church ladies fanning themselves. Now it's me and my family, like, oh, they weren't cool church ladies. They wasn't about that age.
And I also think that, like, you hear the term hot flash, and you feel like you understand what that definition would mean, but until you experience it, I don't think you do, because it's not the same as being hot in a temperature place.
No.
It's a radiating heat that starts inside or the
Yep.
back of your neck,
Right.
and then it's just like you have hot coals
And it
inside
takes,
your
and it
body.
takes a moment to pass, right?
Yes,
Like,
a couple of minutes.
yeah,
Wow.
it has to pass. Now, has your husband noticed it? Does he know when you like? Has he ever noticed that you're having a flash? Does he feel your temperature?
Yeah, mine, because mine was sort of surgically induced, there wasn't any mystery about what was happening. And so, I'm always just like, I need a cold drink. I am so hot. I am so hot. And I hear about people who came in to turning off their air conditioning, like, oh, it was so hot last night, I had to turn off my air conditioning. I laugh at that. I still have yet to ever turn off my air conditioning. I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah.
So I need it cool.
Air conditioning, fan, ceiling fan.
Yes. And a cold drink bedside.
No, and I'm always, I'm always hot. I'm always hot.
And
I mean,
always
sorry,
just be
I'm always cold.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry,
I
I'm
used to
always
be with
cold.
the sweaters.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
not
now,
anymore.
yeah.
Hot.
Not
It's
anymore.
interesting. It's
I have
very
2 sweaters
interesting.
on my chair at my work, and I don't even use them. Before I used to bundle up, stand when needed to bring a scarf and a
Yeah.
mittens. That's how cold it used to get.
Interesting.
Now it's like I have to fan, and you have to stop what you're doing at that moment for that few minutes that you have that hot flash.
Yeah, 'cause
Unfortunately,
you're not even concentrating at that point.
yeah, you
It
can't.
has to
You
pass.
can't.
It has to pass.
It has to
Right.
pass. And unfortunately, I'm on a medication for the breast cancer. That also one of the side effects is hot flashes.
Right.
Oh.
Okay.
So now I get them. I don't know if it's more frequent or I should have finished them by now. I don't know if you still get them because people said once you go through menopause, you usually don't always still have the hot flashes after
Right.
so many years. Everybody's different.
Right.
But-
And does it pass?
Right. Does
Yeah,
it pass is a
eventually.
question. I don't know.
Well, we don't know. I don't even think we could. We wanted Dr. Sukin. She was supposed to come in, an actual professional, to
Right.
help us.
To talk
Because
about
we're just
hormones,
chatting
medical things. We're just like, I don't know, it stinks. Like,
How is it going to be
We're winging
5
it.
years? Okay.
girls chatting.
So yeah. So the age that's considered early for menopause would be before 40. However, if you have some type of procedure, you could definitely experience menopause between 40 and 45, even though it's called early menopause. Okay. How long will the menopausal transition symptoms last? Technically, 1 full year without bleeding, and perimenopause is the stage before the final menstrual period, also known as the menopausal transition. Puberty and perimenopause are similar in that they both involve hormonal changes, and the transitions can take place over several years. So here's our answer. So some medical organizations refer to perimenopause as reverse puberty in women. According to NAMS, this phase can last 4 to 8 years. Oh Lord, I don't want to read anymore. And it comes with symptoms caused by hormone fluctuations such as mood swings, poor sleep, and hot flashes, what we're talking about here. And the age at which women begin perimenopause can help predict how long the transition to menopause will last. All right. Sometimes perimenopause lasted longer in women who started the transition at a younger age, and the women that had more symptoms, such as hot flashes, at an earlier age. Because I do remember, I think, early getting some hot flashes and not knowing what it was. So, yeah, that didn't take till 50. That was a little bit before that. So it's quite interesting, this whole thing that that we're going through. So if you are going through stuff, you're feeling hot, you're getting a little flash. It's normal. It's fine. It's
You're not alone.
yes, it's called the twilight years, and it's beautiful. Now there are some other questions. I think that you had a question. Did you have a question on there?
Yeah, there are some other things that I noticed, and one was thinning hair.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mentioned before I had a surgery, and sometimes when you have a surgery, that can cause you, or if you have a baby, and sometimes women will remember that if they had a baby, usually 4 months later, all their hair falls out, and it's just that hormonal fluctuation, right? The same thing happens with surgery. And I remember that my hair was falling out, and I thought, okay, this must be because of the surgery, but it didn't stop falling out. And so a lot of thinning hair was an issue.
Okay.
And so I learned then that, yeah, it's because of a lack of estrogen. then there's a problem. Your skin gets drier, your scalp gets drier.
Itchy.
You get dry. It gets itchy, and you start to lose your hair.
Yeah.
So there's another lovely side
Yeah.
effect.
That didn't happen to me though. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mother has thin hair anyway, so I already had that problem.
Okay.
So it wasn't.
Same here.
No. Yeah, I didn't have that.
Mom had
So
that problem.
luckily, there are some things that some people will experience and some people will not experience. And I think when I started really thinking about some things that were going on, I Googled. Of course, it's Google's my doctor. And the doctors from Health City always tell me, stop Googling.
Dr.
Stop
Google is
Googling.
not good.
Be your doctor. And so I looked up some stuff, and there was like 50 symptoms that you could be in your early stage of menopause. I had like 48.
Aw.
And you weren't too sure about the other two.
Bingo.
Wow.
But yeah, and I think we'll chat a little bit more about that when we come back, really, because it really is important that people know, like, there's nothing wrong with you, like you really are experiencing something that's normal and nothing to be ashamed of.
Mhm.
And if your husband's giving you a hard time, just point to his belly or something.
Point to the door.
Jennifer, I love you more every day.
Point to his belly.
Well, I mean, because he might be gaining a little weight. 'Cause they sure can see us.
Oh,
gaining
absolutely.
weight.
That's it. I just took it to the next level. I just can't be bothered.
No,
with
I
that.
like it. It was good. It was good. But but that is true that you'll find in relationships that you might find a little bit more pressure from just the way that you look, and a man might point that out, but
Yeah.
again, he's not pointing out. He doesn't see kind of what's happening because his eyes. Here's what I figured out, and I saw this in relationships as I was growing up with my elders.
Mhm.
I saw that their husbands, when they looked at their wife, that's when they were reminded of their own age. And that's why looking at a younger woman was more desirable because to look at a younger woman made them feel like they look like that. No, honey, look in the mirror because, and so their wife or their partner ends up getting a hard time because he's seeing the gray hair and he's seeing the wrinkles and he's seeing, the weight gain. He's seeing all of this stuff that's reminding him that he is no spring chicken anymore. And that's sad. It's unfair,
Yes.
but that's what I saw happen. So ladies, don't be influenced, don't be kind of, negatively impacted by that. Like just take care of yourself. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some symptoms and stuff, but also some things that you can do to just take care of yourself during this period of your life. Because like you said, Jennifer, and I so appreciate you saying that, in working with people that don't know if they're going to be around to see, another year or another 5 years for the rest of their lives, or what does that look like, Lucille, you having experienced cancer. This is just a thing.
Right.
This is nothing. To complain about this or to not see this as a blessing, as a part of life, would be so ungrateful. I think we need to be practicing that more. Gratefulness,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, for riding along with me. I'm in with the cool girls and talking about the hot flashes. And that will be menopause. And we'll be back to talk more. This is your Wellness Wednesday show. Catherine Tyson, your host, and Straight Talk 5 to 5. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned.
I'm going to ask Miss Hope if she's listening.
You want to that, talk about the cancer society again?
Yeah, no, she will
Your Drive at 5 show, Catherine Tyson here. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It is Wellness Wednesday, and I'm serious. The best talks happen during the break because I'm glad you guys are hearing us because we were just here talking about menopause woes. I am in the studio with Jennifer Weber, who's normally from the Cancer Society. However, today she's talking about menopause. She's in here with me after Wellness Wednesday, as well as Lucille Bodden, who's a social worker, normally at the Department of Children and Family Services, but today she's riding along with me, and we're talking about menopause. And of course, we're the cool girls, and we're talking about hot flashes and stuff like that. And if you happen to be a cool girl, it's all right. It's, hey, you're going to value life and we're going to celebrate life. We're not going to feel bad about it because it is what it is. So, right?
Yeah, hot chicks who want to be cool girls is what it is.
You think so? I don't know. Well, just get a fan. That's for sure. You know, and I have some like fans from like Miss Cayman. You know, I had some fans built for that time, and they're all around the house, fan and fan and fan. AC running, people who got on comforters. What was that?
Melting from the inside.
Oh my goodness. What are some of the other symptoms that might surprise us? Let's talk about that. What are some of the other symptoms that might surprise us? All right. I don't want to say that the first one. No, I'm not saying that. Dry mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that dental problems? Dry mouth and dental problems. Now that's interesting because, you know, I don't know about you guys. When you were pregnant, did you have were your teeth like falling out? Because, you know, the calcium thing. Listen.
No, I didn't have that, but I do remember when I was pregnant. I was still keeping it a secret at work and stuff, and I went to the dentist, and my dental hygienist said, "Okay, you know, let's get started." And I opened my mouth, and she said, "You're pregnant, and you didn't even tell me." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "I can tell by your gums."
Oh, dear.
And I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, is everything that apparent?"
Oh, goodness.
So I know that your gums swell. And I know as we age, our mouth gets dry, and the more dry it gets, you know, the phrase people get long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Okay. Your gums start to recede, and your teeth get longer.
Okay.
But yeah, your mouth does get drier, and I've noticed that for sure.
All right. I noticed that your hands get dry. Like, you know, kind of, you just dryness, just your whole body, just, you know, needing to lotion and, you know, oil or whatever. I think you're kind of losing some of that stuff. Burning mouth syndrome. You heard of that one? I've not heard of that. Thankfully, not heard of that. Chills for sure.
Chills,
yes. And that's the hot flash and what follows it is the chills after. Yeah. Like I mentioned, dry skin, fatigue. Oh goodness. Is that real? Is that real? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it's okay that I'm exhausted all the time.
Exactly.
I think we all just assume that. Well, of course, we're just all exhausted, and we just keep plugging along. But it's the question of why, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, we're always exhausted, but it's just a different reason why we're exhausted.
Right. Yeah.
It's a combination of everything that we do, including the menopause.
Yeah.
So we thought it was because we're so active and we're doing this and we're doing that. In my case, the recovery, but it's menopause too.
Right.
It takes energy out of you too.
Yeah. So just to be gentle with yourself, because these are some real things happening. Okay. Inability to concentrate.
Yeah.
Got that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I often say, like, you know, when you're using your computer and if you have a lot of documents open at one time, lots of different emails, I feel like that's my brain. I feel like I've got 10 things open at the same time, and I may or may not be able to finish them. I have difficulty with my bandwidth. I just can't process any more information.
Right. Well, if you don't have them all open, you're going to forget something.
Yeah. And so I often feel like that. Like I'm in the middle of doing 3 things at the same time, and that's not really possible.
Are you ever finishing 3 things?
Well, it's funny. Sometimes it'll get to be 4 o'clock. I'm sure you guys have had this before too. Or I mean, I don't know if it's just a product of being busy, but I think it also has to do with this.
Right.
That, you know, you're doing something, and then you're like, oh, I gotta do this, and I gotta do this, and then it's 4 o'clock, and then you're like, oh, I gotta finish 27 emails that I thought I already finished and sent. I just got to finish the last bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, and what I find is that also, you know, when you work 9 to 5, right? There's so many disturbances too throughout the day. So the closer you get to the end of the day is when you kind of become a little more productive because you have no more phones ringing. You have everybody tripping you up trying to get out that door, and so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like everything else. And I think in terms of concentration. So you could be working on something and then someone will come in and say something to you, or and you'll just lose your train of thought. And now you're doing that thing, and that kind of continues to happen throughout the day. So no disturbances sometimes, just being focused on something is probably better in the situation like that where you're kind of struggling with concentration. What do you think?
I agree totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like you said, you lose concentration. My best friend besides you is my telephone.
Right.
I put everything in there. Call Catherine. Call this. Call that. Do that. Because if I don't put it in there, it's going to be out of sight, out of mind within 2 seconds.
That's so true.
I could say I got to go to the grocery store. I got to go get this. I need milk, and I'm all the way down from work to home. I'm gotta get milk. Gotta get milk. I get 2 seconds away from the grocery store, and I think somebody calls in, and I completely forgot about me getting milk. But for the last 15 minutes, I've been reminding myself.
But
so that's why I have to set reminders.
But if you have it there, at least
I'll put on snooze until I get to where I go.
Yeah, I try to check my notepad throughout the day. I'll just check that to see what else I did, and then I feel so good because I'm able to like delete the stuff, and I'm like, did that?
See,
No,
this is
I do
practical
it.
advice,
Yeah,
ladies.
I do it.
This is good. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I think we have to use the technology and the services that we have to try to help ourselves. We cannot expect that we can just continue to do everything the same way.
Because we don't remember. I thought it was me because of the recovery, but now that I'm finding out more about menopause and looking into other things and stuff, now I'm realizing it's not only me or the people who are going through treatment. There's people who are our age and are going through menopause. That it's a combination of everything and life itself.
Yeah.
And if you're so busy, and Catherine could tell you, just as busy as she was once upon a time, people went away I sleep because I was on the road 24/7. I was on the go 24/7. Now it's like I don't have the energy to even go out some of the time.
Yeah.
Well,
and I actually like the fact that I've slowed down.
Yeah.
I like that.
To slow down.
Like I think something like this it just naturally kind of goes. You're 50. Calm down. You're 50. You know what I mean? Like I honor it. I appreciate it because I think that sometimes you do forget and you think that you can just go, and till you drop down, as my grandmother would say, like, you can go till you drop down, and like sometimes your body has to say, hey, calm down.
Absolutely.
There are 25-year-olds that need to be running like that. Let them run because they need to take over the world too,
right.
And you're putting your work in, and it's time for you to kind of enjoy the fruit of your labor. And why not
chillax a little bit?
I think so.
Yeah, I agree 100%. When I think about in my 20s, it was go, do, so much fun, and absolutely. My mother used to always say, "You're burning the candle at both ends. You're gonna make yourself sick." Everybody's mother said that, right?
Yeah.
It was true, but okay, it was still fun, so we did it anyway.
Yes.
Now I have no desire to do that.
Exactly.
Maybe because of circumstances, I'm required to do that, but that's certainly not my choice.
Yeah.
And much more likely to hang out and have some friends over for dinner and chat, chill. I mean, we're playing Jenga, for heaven's sake.
Right.
We're like, wow, what have we become?
Well, I learned how to play dominoes during the lockdown.
Me too.
Yeah, I learned, and I'm good.
Yeah.
So I had a great teacher, and so I don't mind, just kind of taking a moment and chilling. Now, it's funny because everybody's mom has said that to you, like you just said. But I don't say that to my daughter. My daughter's 20-something years old, and I'm like, that's what you're supposed to be doing at this age. Yeah. I don't look at her and like, you're doing too much. I'm like, girl, go.
Yeah.
Like I'm rooting her on because that's what you do when you're 20-something.
Yeah. But sometimes you gotta say, stop being so lazy.
Get up. You know what I was doing at your age?
Do something.
Well, I've said that. At 26, I was on my own with 3 children, a full-time job, and going to college. Yes, I'm telling you, 6 months, 4 and 5. So nobody can tell me they're exhausted at 26. I'm like,
don't want to hear it.
Doing what?
Yeah.
Staying up till 3 last night? Poor thing. So
they don't have the priorities that we had once upon a time.
Well,
I wasn't a young mother. But I did go to school, babysit.
How old were you? 27 when you had your first child?
Almost 28.
And you call yourself not a young mother? That's young.
20. I wasn't early 20s.
But still, 27 is young.
Yeah, but I finished my university without any children.
Yeah.
No, I finished university without any children, which was helpful.
Right. So
I mean, I was watching everybody else's children, but they went home.
Yeah, they weren't yours.
Right, they weren't mine. So then I was going to working
Yeah.
watching people's children.
Yeah.
So I was around the children all the time, but just I got to go home and sleep.
Right.
If I didn't stay over for the week or two
Right.
with the children if their parents.
And then you had a kid and never slept again.
That's right. Only for the first like 6 years, 8 years where you don't sleep, I think.
No.
Really? No,
No.
she doesn't sleep. Her kid's gonna call her right now and ask her,
Mommy.
"Why never stop my faucet for 1 gallon of
It's
milk?"
not the children, it's the husband.
Oh,
And right now we got the puppies.
And she's always had puppies. So yeah. So inability to concentrate, irregular periods, as we talked about, and so that's kind of like you'll have, you might have, three periods for the year sometimes, or it definitely, if it's not one whole year without, it's okay. Itching. I don't know anybody gets itching. We can move on from that. I don't
like dry skin. Like I always like
Yeah.
I notice like my shins are always itchy. I do need more lotion like on my arms.
No. Okay, good stuff. And that could be, you guys are whites, and I don't itch. So
I'm
I think it could
dry.
be that as well. Yeah, because I do
agree.
Yeah, we
And
probably
I can't
have
use
different
lotion
things
because of the hot flashes. It makes you sweat more.
Yeah.
It keeps
Oh
the moisture
yes,
in.
it's terrible.
So I have to stay with the dry skin because I can't.
Yeah, because
tolerate.
it feels yucky
Yeah.
sometimes when you are, you get
Yeah.
that clammy
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So I can't use the lotion like some people do. People put lotion on all the time. I'm like, I can't do it. When I used to be in New York, we used to put lotion on oil, baby oil, when you come out of the shower to try and keep the heat in. So you're not freezing when you go out. But now, one time I came from the airport and put lotion on and everything. Got to the airport in Cayman Islands and I was dripping.
Yeah.
I was like thinking of surgery, thinking I have some kind of illegal
What is
stuff.
she nervous about? She's sweating bullets. Pull her over.
So I was like, oh my God, why did I put lotion on? Not thinking of the difference, the atmosphere, the temperature change. And I'm like, oh my God, you couldn't do it. So now I can't even put lotion on. My hands feel like they're sandpaper, besides the neuropathy. They feel like sandpaper to me. Now, I don't know if they are.
Probably not.
And
to you.
You can see when you scratch yourself, you can see the white, dry skin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely might not be, a Caribbean Nubian queen thing. Thankfully, we got that. And also this one's interesting. So the breast tenderness, I think, and the loss of breast fullness. I don't know about that, but the breast tenderness is definitely a thing, and I think it almost feels like I had somebody telling me about when we was talking about menopause, and she said that she was experiencing breast tenderness once a month. So it almost felt like she was supposed to be menstruating, like her body was just knew, like, okay, I'm really gonna be menstruating, but I wasn't. So she said she experienced that every month, like clockwork.
I heard somebody describe older breasts as, because they lose mass and fullness, they turn into what she described as a used gym sock. And I thought, oh, that's really quite a good description.
I don't like that.
I know, but unfortunately, let's face it, we all, maybe not us, wink wink, but we know people.
No, not at all. You wink wink yourself.
Might match that description, but yeah, there's a loss of mass and fullness, and so
Well, I mean, they've been around for 40 years,
working
40, 50 years,
doing their job, and doing it well. All right, so mood changes. What about mood changes? Yeah, you find you're very moody. I go through little bouts of crying for no reason. Like I can't put my finger on it.
I don't find that myself. But
I'm
not a moody person. Right,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if I've ever seen you cry in 23 years. Wow. Do you have to? What's going on?
They're there sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes, not often. But no, mood swings. I was never a moody person.
That's cool. That's good. And I'm not either. But I find that I'll be sad.
But I noticed when I was going through the chemotherapy and the menopause, the perimenopausal symptoms, I was getting cranky. I don't know if it was. I know, and I'm not a cranky person.
Right.
But couldn't get comfortable in bed. I couldn't get comfortable in body temperature. I couldn't get comfortable any which way. So I was and it wasn't sleeping good, and I kept twisting and turning. My husband calls me a rotisserie. Now the blankets. 1 minute the blanket's on. Next minute the blanket's off. Next minute the blanket's on.
What does he call you?
A rotisserie, because I'm constantly flipping.
That's funny.
Oh, they come up with these things.
Because
Just imagine.
I'm constantly, I don't
Where did he
sit
come up with
still.
this? This is brilliant. Brilliant.
And he's like, but you just put the blanket on, and now you take no. I said, well, get used to it. It's been a year now. You
Why
should
you in
be
my
used to
business?
That's right.
Why you in my business?
You should be used to it by now.
Right.
But just
So-
put it on 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. So no mood changes for you either, Jennifer.
Yeah, like
You
it's
guys
Yeah,
are pretty even.
I'm
I think we're all
listening
pretty
to you,
even.
and I think, yeah, I'm not really a moody person. People irritate me sometimes,
And that's
but
okay.
surely that's not me.
Right? That must be menopause.
Must be.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we talked about the night sweats, of course. Body odor. That's cute. We can move on from that.
Yeah.
You're like, not me, I'm good. I always say people from Wednesday bathe 3-4 times a day anyway. So they're bathers. They love that.
Yeah.
Must be the Cayman water. Not paying me what for it.
No, I have to pay.
Yeah, no, it's very, very interesting
Yeah.
though. I think that body odor is a thing that it changes.
Yeah, it does. Mhm.
And so you find, sometimes that you have to use a particular deodorant, or you have to change a deodorant, or this
Mhm.
thing doesn't work. It used to work
Mhm.
before. I
Right,
think
exactly.
So,
But then
yeah.
again, all these symptoms, everybody's not going to experience every single one of them. So
Exactly.
you might get one person experience 10 of them, 100 people experience those same 10.
Right.
Then then another person will experience a bunch more. So it's not just because it's there doesn't mean we all have. The
Right.
three of us may not
For sure.
experience it or whatever.
For sure.
It just so happens that
Yeah.
you know.
There are
Exactly.
normal
And-
variations.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it's just I'm reading it for informational purposes,
Absolutely,
just in the
because that
event that
person may
you
not
might
know.
be experiencing it
Exactly,
and you don't know what's going on.
exactly.
It could be that,
Sure.
and so it's like nothing to be kind of frantic about. It's like, oh, okay,
That
so
explains
that's
it.
exactly that's what's going on.
Yeah, I think
And
especially
so-
like that restlessness that you were
Yeah.
kind of describing. People, I must be stressed. Why is it I can't sleep?
Yeah.
I don't feel stressed.
3
What's
o'clock
wrong
in
with
the
me?
morning.
How come I'm so irritable? How come I can't get comfortable? How come,
Yeah.
And, meanwhile, the husband's next to you. I have no problem
As
sleeping at
usual.
all. So
Yeah,
annoying.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
I
I
can
think
only
it's good that
sleep
people
like him.
Yeah.
Right.
You think?
Right? Exactly. All right. And so weight gain,
Oh,
slowed
sure.
metabolism. That is, listen, ladies.
Yeah.
If you're going through that, you're with. I think that's one probably a symptom that everybody probably. That's probably one of those universal symptoms that
Yeah.
you find, like your metabolism has decreased. And you're gaining that weight. You're getting that little muffin top, because I've never had that, and that is such a struggle for me. And I really am trying to just, kind of look in the mirror and just love that woman there. Really, just be kind to her. Yeah, Mel Robbins is everything. Stop it. Just tell her something nice and get over it. Because you can really beat up on yourself, and you can feel like, what's going on with me, and am I failing myself, and I don't want to exercise, or I don't want to this, and I don't. And it's not that actually. It's just this change that has occurred in your life, in your body at this point. That's just it. So it's nothing you're doing on purpose, but there may be some things that you need to do differently in order to manage it that you didn't have to do when you were younger. I think that's what it is too.
For
Okay,
me, that's that's the very worst thing.
Yeah.
Is the slowed metabolism and the weight gain.
Right.
That was something that took a huge adjustment for me. Not only, really, it was from the time of like turning 40 and hormones changing and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, it took a long time for me in the simplest things to adjust to the bigger person that I had become.
Right.
You're in a store and you're like, oh, that's cute. And I would grab a medium shirt. I'm not a medium anymore.
Well, isn't that cute?
Yeah.
What's cuter is when the young, sexy sales girl says, "You can't fit that."
Oh.
That's happened to me a couple of times, and I'm looking like, of course I can fit this. So now I'm in my customer service courses. I'm like, don't say that to people, like you know what I mean? Because you don't even know how that's coming off, because like you said, you're accustomed to being a medium and not realizing the difference so much, because you see yourself every day. It's such a gradual
Well,
thing.
and that's what I used to be. Now I have to accept that I'm 2 sizes beyond there on a good day.
Yeah.
And so just that whole perception of self, like literally when you walk by a mirror, like honestly, I have an older sister. I don't know about you. I have an older sister, and sometimes I glance and I'm like, what's she doing here? Oh no, wait, that's me. That's not my older sister. And now it's, oh, what's my mom doing here?
Oh,
And
yeah.
yet you start to see that, and you feel like, wow, this has
Yeah.
happened. I remember when my mother looked like this, and now this is me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's true.
I am an older sister,
Okay.
and sometimes when I pass the mirror, I see that older sister, and I didn't used to see her before because we'd be together, and they'd always say, "Who's the oldest one? Which one is the?" And they'd be mad. They'd be like, "How dare you? Don't you see this old hag next to us?" You know. But now I look and I'm like, there she is. But I'm gonna love her, and I'm gonna embrace her. I'm gonna appreciate her because what else am I gonna do? I gotta carry around this girl, right? And I think that's what's important. There's so many things that we can really, be mad about, or we can want, to not have to go through. But it's a part of life, isn't it? And so, how do we cope is more important. Now, what are some of the things you think that you've done that has helped your kind of your process? What do you think?
It's a little thing, but I will claim this as a victory because I don't drink Coke anymore.
Oh, nice.
I love a Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I don't drink them anymore because I don't like the diet.
Yeah.
I want the real stuff.
Right.
But if I drink the real stuff, it just packs on pounds like crazy,
Right.
and it's not good for me, and it prevents me from drinking water. So I now am one of those people who drink a lot of water.
Oh, nice.
And it helps with the dry skin, and it helps with all the other things as well.
Makes you feel better.
Yes, and it does. It is good for me,
Yeah.
and that's something I feel like, okay, I'm doing this. This is helping. It's a small change, but it's made a big difference.
And so I have a question. I bet when you thought, I'm going to give this up, it just felt ridiculous. You just felt like, oh, absolutely not. I love Coca-Cola. I'm going to drink this. You know what I mean? To be saying what you say now, but at that moment, it was probably tougher. But now that you've given it up, it's not so tough, is it?
Well, it's interesting because for a lot of years I would give it up for Lent, right?
Okay.
And then
So you could give it up.
well, yeah, I could, but for a short period of time.
Right.
40 days.
Yeah, that's right. And at 12:01 on Easter morning, oh, Jesus Christ is risen. And then I'm drinking Coke.
Oh, God.
I'm not even kidding. I would so look forward to it. And people would always say things to me like, oh, you just wait. Once you don't drink it for a while, when you go back
You
to
won't
it, it'll
crave
be
it
so
anymore.
sweet. You'll be like, oh, it's gross. And
It
then,
was
no, it is
delicious.
the nectar of the gods. And I am so happy to be reunited with it.
Gosh.
But
How do you live without
well, but
this?
what happened is after doing that for a few years, I thought,
Like years.
giving it up for Lent and stuff. I was
Right.
like, you know what am I doing?
Yeah.
So I can't be wondering why it is that I keep gaining weight.
Right.
I can't be wondering what I'm going to do. I have to actually do something. And so I did it for Lent. And then I thought, I didn't make like a grandiose plan to make myself feel bad that I wasn't able to fulfill. Right. I just said, you know what? I'm just going to try to, I'm going to try to do it a little longer.
Okay.
And it's been a couple years.
Oh, wow.
And so, and maybe now for medical reasons, I might have 2 Cokes in a year.
Okay.
Wow, good for
I
you.
had a board meeting last night. I was tired because I'd be up early in the morning and blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, I need a medical Coke.
You had some nectar
So,
of the gods.
yes. So at 4:30 yesterday afternoon, I was like, oh, I love you. I remember you. And it was fabulous. And it did the trick because, boy, that caffeine boost and the sugar, and I felt like fantastic.
And it just
But
felt
it's a
good.
special treat.
Yeah, there you go.
And so, it's all about water.
Yeah. I remember I used to have like a Snicker a day. Do you remember I used to have a Snicker a day? I have not had a Snicker in, it could be maybe 6 or 8 months.
Wow.
Because I used to literally eat a Snicker a day. And I was like, 130 pounds, like no problem, but
She's just burning right off.
yeah, but that now I'm just like, nope. And what happened to me was exactly what they said to you. When you've been away from it for so long and you eat it, it tasted like my mouth was just filled with spoonfuls of sugar. Yeah, spoons full of sugar. It was horrible. It was like, oh my goodness, this was my friend, Yeah, and I'd be able to drink like a glass of milk after, and it'd be amazing. But no, so some little things we might give up. Put more water into our diets. Maybe some vegetables, some fruit into our diet. Things like that. Exercise. Try to put some type of exercise in because your body at 30 is not going to be the same at 60. It's not going to be the same at 50. And if you want it to to perform right, you're going to have to treat it right and treat it the way it should be treated at that age. Because I don't know about you, I remember when I was about, I think, 19, I could sleep like, I mean, in a ball, underneath the couch, like my foot on the wall, like it didn't matter. Like me and my friend, we we shared our little apartment. That's what we call it now, the room. Yeah. And she'd be down one end of the couch, and I'd be down the other. Her foot would be over, on one side of the wall, and that's how we slept. We woke up fine. Yeah. If I just my neck doesn't sit right on a pillow for like 2 weeks, people ask, have you been in an accident? What's going on? So, the body is just doing different things, right? Yeah. And so you have to honor it and respect it at every stage. So, yeah, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually one of the symptoms is osteoporosis of menopause.
Really?
Yeah, it because of estrogen, it reduces the
bone density.
Bone density.
Okay. Wow.
And so that's where you get in the arthritis and all these other issues with it. Then it could turn into rheumatoid, all different things. So that's part of the crimp in the neck and this because the bone density isn't that great anymore.
Okay. All right. And so I would tell you, if you're having that little battle of the bulge type of thing going on, the little muffin top thing that, you've been struggling with that you didn't struggle with when you were younger, just remember that, there are some things that you can do. We talked about it. Watch your carbohydrate intake, watch your sugar intake, watch when you're having your meals, add some vegetables, some fruit to your meal. Also to stand instead of sit. If you can stand instead of sit sometimes, do that. Because I think, we have this sedentary lifestyle. We sit at the desk and, we get home, we sit on the couch, and there's a lot of sitting going on. And so this area, this tummy area is kind of going to be, accumulating the stuff, and that's what kind of leads to health problems as well. So, a couple of little things like that. Yeah, you think so?
For medical reasons, I lay on the couch. I try to make sure that.
I have to put my foot up somewhere. Exactly. And snacks, let's try to stop with the snacks. I had to tell somebody that the other day. You're not a 5-year-old, year one student that's going, to recess and you need something extra in your body. You need the energy. Exactly. Like, stop it. You don't need, 3 snacks a day. You're sitting on an iPad. You're sitting at the office and, so those are some things. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
We have come to the end of the show, and I'm just so happy that you were able to come. The cool girls talk about the hot flashes and just getting you through, this time of your life, ladies. Ladies, this show was for you, by the way. And gentlemen, whoever was listening, share that with your wives when you go home. And you can always find it on Facebook. You can find us on Star 92.7 or Straight Talk 5. Go watch the show and share it for us. It needs to be a subject that is normal. And no one should be feeling bad about it.
And women should know what to expect.
And we should know what to expect. And
men should know what to expect.
Yeah, and celebrate it. And men support your women through these processes. She's gonna be a rotisserie. just accept that and get over it, okay?
Exactly.
That's fine. Bring her the blanket, help her take it off, help her fan if she needs it.
Get the extra crushed ice in the drink.
Exactly. And stop looking at the pounds she's gained. Look at your own.
Yes. Look at your milk powder and baldness forming, right?
We're seeing that.
Yeah, and we're not saying anything.
And we're being nice about it.
That's right.
We only tell each other about it.
That's right. Say something nasty and then the gloves come off.
Right? Exactly. Meanwhile, we just tell our girlfriends, But, for real, it's a part of life. This has been your Wellness Wednesday show, and I hope that you got some information about menopause. And sorry no doctor was here. We'll try to drag a doctor next time. But that was us from our standpoint, and we're glad you joined us. So this has been your Wellness Wednesday on Straight Talk 5 Show. I am Catherine Tyson. My guests were Jennifer Weber from the Cancer Society, chatting about menopause, as well as Lucille Gordon, who's a social worker at the Department of Children and Family Services. Thank you once again. Have a great evening, everyone. We'll talk again tomorrow. It'll be Thursday, your Success One-on-One show. And I have a great young companion to share with you and talk about her journey. So I'll talk with you then. Take care. Bye.
That's a wrap.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. That was fun.